Let me start with something Republican Congressman Justin Amash tweeted. He had a pretty succinct response to the third tweet that the president-elect made on John Lewis. Simply, dude, just stop. Let me ask you this. Did the president-elect contemplate reaching out to Congressman Lewis privately before tweeting?
Look, here's the thing. I think that, Chuck, it's shocking that Congressman Lewis, who is a civil rights icon and is a person who's championed voting rights, would actually question the legitimacy of an election in this country and starting this firestorm. I mean, the truth is, Donald Trump won 30 of 50 counties. He won about 128 out of the 159 counties in Georgia. He flipped 200 counties that Obama won and had the biggest electoral landslide on our side of the aisle since Ronald Reagan. I mean, I get you want to go back and forth on tweets, but the truth is it's irresponsible for John Lewis, historic as he is, to have done this. And the other piece of this, Chuck, is that Barack Obama should step up as well and call it what it is. It's wrong what is happening. It's wrong how some of these Democrats are treating President-elect Trump. We have a great relationship with the White House. I talk to Dennis McDonough every day. We had a great meeting with all of our cabinet members and all of the sitting cabinet members in the White House on Friday. The transfer of power within the White House is going great. But to do this to President-elect Trump 5 days before he puts his hand on the Bible, it's just wrong. And by the way, the Democrats are fundraising on this comment from Congressman Lewis right now. So they're making money on it.
Let me ask you this, because one of the things that Congressman Lewis says that he will never forget and possibly never forgive is when Donald Trump said that Vladimir Putin was a stronger leader than President Obama. And there's going to be some other people that respond to your comments right now, Mr. Priebus, and say Donald Trump spent 5 years questioning the legitimacy of Barack Obama's constitutional viability to be president of the United States with the birther controversy. Do you understand why there are going to be some who look at your criticism of John Lewis and say, that's hypocritical coming from somebody that works for Donald Trump?
So, first of all, the president-elect never said that Vladimir Putin was a better person. He didn't say that he was...
I said stronger leader.
He looked up to Vladimir. Well, hang on, let me just finish.
My question to you was stronger leader, for what it's worth. That's what I quoted.
Okay, I get it, and I'm trying to make the distinction. It wasn't he's a better person, I would rather have him as president of the United States. It was that characteristics of leadership can be parsed and compared. And characteristic qualities can be a lot of things, and that's what he was talking about. But certainly wouldn't prefer Vladimir Putin over Barack Obama as president of the United States. That's ridiculous. And to take an old argument about where the president was born has nothing to do with whether or not in a democracy in the United States whether Donald Trump won the election and whether it was legitimate. James Clapper, the intelligence community, I don't know if John Lewis knows more than they do, but they have concluded that there's no evidence that anything that was done in the course of this election by Russians or whoever changed the course of this election. In fact, the only evidence there is of tampering and having a real connection to foreign leadership was the DNC paying an operative over $400,000 to meddle into Ukraine to dig up dirt on Donald Trump. No one's talking about the $400,000 that the DNC spent digging up dirt with an operative in the Ukraine. There's nothing here in regard to this issue in Russia, and all of the defense intelligence agencies have concluded that.
I'm just curious. When you say there's nothing here,
I mean evidence that changed the outcome of the election.
You're talking about you're not disputing that there is a lot of evidence of Russia's attempts to interfere in the election.
I'm not disputing that the Russian entities hacked the DNC. But I'm not going to go back to our interview of a few weeks ago. I am also going to say that when you don't have any defenses on your computer system and you basically hand over 50,000 emails, obviously that makes it a whole lot easier. And I also think that the Clinton folks wasted $1 billion of their donors' money, and they've got a lot to answer for. And none of this would be happening if
Right.
Hillary Clinton would have simply not used a personal server in violation of federal law.
Okay, but Mr. Priebus, does that excuse a foreign government from attempting to interfere in the United States election?
We've never, of course not. All of it's wrong. China's wrong, Russia's wrong,
Right.
Iran's wrong. All of these entities are wrong for doing what they've done. Back to John Lewis, for him then to say, which no intelligence official is saying, that Donald Trump was elected illegitimately is irresponsible. And just because he's a civil rights leader and someone that I respect as a civil rights leader and someone that I went to Selma with him
Yes, you
and
did.
many others a few years ago, it doesn't excuse the fact that his statement was not responsible, and it's not right, and it's too bad because President-elect Trump's going to be a great president, and this country elected him in an electoral landslide, and it's a shame. It's really a shame that 5 days from now he's being sworn in and we're talking about this.
I want to talk about, because the issue has to do with Russia, and there was another dispute and some concern that on the same day that the Obama administration announced new sanctions against Russia for their meddling in the 2016 election, that the incoming National Security Advisor Michael Flynn was on the phone multiple times with the Russian ambassador to the United States. Can you say definitively that there was no promises, no winks, no anything that somehow there was an acknowledgement that these sanctions will go away as quickly as possible once the inauguration takes place?
So, Chuck, almost every single day, General Flynn talks to counterparts and ambassadors from all over the world, almost every single day. That's his job. So, as a national security advisor, for those that don't know, one of his jobs is to be in constant communication with his counterparts in security issues all over the world. The TikTok on this is that on Christmas, the two of them texted each other, Merry Christmas. A couple days later, this ambassador texted General Flynn that he wanted to talk. And then the next day, they had a conversation, which did happen to be that same day. But I have talked to General Flynn. None of that came up. The subject matter of sanctions or the actions taken by the Obama administration did not come up in the conversation. In fact, it was the sports team that was in an unfortunate plane accident. They talked about setting up a phone call after inauguration, and they also talked about a conference in Syria, and that a conference in regard to ISIS in Syria. So those were the only subjects that came up. But there's no controversy in General Flynn talking to his counterparts around the world.
So there was no challenge of American policy currently by Mr. Flynn with the Russian
None.
ambassador. Okay, one final question.
No,
there's a new report out this morning from Esquire magazine that includes some quotes both from the incoming press secretary but some anonymous quotes that seem to indicate that it is your intent to remove the White House press corps from the White House. Is that true?
Well, look, first of all, no, because the White House obviously is 18 acres, right, Chuck? So no, the technical answer is no. But what we have is that you saw the news conference the other day, and by the way, I'd have to quarrel with you. I don't think it was a bizarre news conference. I don't think it's a fair characterization, but there was 500 to 600 reporters at that news conference. What I'm talking about and what we're talking about, and the only thing that was even discussed about this, was whether or not you want to take that room that only holds 50 people in that very small press room, which it looks big on TV, but it's very tiny,
right,
and whether you want to go 50 feet to the EOB and have, for the first few weeks or the first month or so, the press conferences where you can fit 3 to 4 times the amount of people.
So this is not
It's about more access.
So this is not
this
about
is just about
the office space or any of that business.
This is about quadrupling the amount of reporters that can cover our press conferences.
But there will still be reporters
in the White House.
There will still be reporters every day going to work in the White House.
That hasn't been determined, Chuck, but as of now, the only thing that created this story, I just want to make it very clear, was the question of whether or not the press briefings, at least initially, are going to be
is this about,
the
but you're not
EOB.
answering the question, is this about press briefings or is this about kicking the press out of the building altogether?
This is about press briefings. That's
Okay.
what created this story.
All right, Reince Priebus, I will leave it there. So the press will still be going to work every day in the White House, in the Trump administration.
How about a little go pack go? Huh?
There'll be a lot of that. That I promise you, Reince Priebus, all day today. All right, sir. I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on and sharing your views. Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.